Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a video on an unboxing, possibly. This is something that I've been meaning to get to for a couple days now, but I just haven't had the time. I got a few things in the mail, one of which is this item here, which we're going to be talking about. But firstly, I wanted to kind of explain where this all came from. I've got two kind of major problems with my current setup. If you guys don't know, we do a lot of home labbing here in the house, and a couple things that I'm running into is, one, I'm running out of space. I've got old enterprise rack mounted servers, I have a Dell R710, I have a DAC, direct attach storage, and it's taking up a lot of space in this little rack that you guys can't see off to the side that sits right next to my desk, and it's loud. The power consumption is atrocious, and the efficiency is not there just because it's an older system setup. So that got me thinking. There's a lot of recent updates, especially with Intel, and you may have heard of the N100, which is a new processor by Intel on 12th generation. It uses a 10 nanometer technology for their processor, and if you haven't already seen, on Newegg, eBay, and Amazon, there are a ton of listings for these mini PCs. Obviously, I believe it was the 400 was also popular as well. And after seeing those listings, it got me thinking that, you know, these mini PCs are becoming super efficient. They're pretty power efficient. The N100, you know, can sit power at 9 watts, for example. And also what I'm using right now is a hypervisor called Proxmox. If you haven't heard of it, I don't know where you've been. It's super popular. But I am running that on a Hive Zeus. If you guys are familiar with that, super popular on eBay. It's essentially a 1U chassis by Chenborough. And I've got a listing here. We're going to hop over into some listings that I want to show you guys so that you can get an idea of kind of where I'm coming from and why it's such an issue on what I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and swap over here. So these are the devices that I have here, the Hive Zeus. They are awesome for what you get. Pretty cheap. Comes with rack server mounts, and I believe they're 2640s in these, which is going to be, yes, 2640 V2s. I don't have the V2s. I believe I have the V1, which is a 6-core 12-thread, but it does come with 2 processors, and those are 95 watt TDP. If we head up here, this is what I'm coming off of here. Older technology, 32 nanometer. Does have a pretty good punch if you're looking for performance in a 1U server size. So you are saving the space. You are getting a pretty decent workhorse, especially for Proxmox. I can divvy out those cores and threads to different virtual machines and services, and I have a lot of them running. Now when you compare that to the Intel N100 on the 10 nanometer, you are sacrificing a lot of cores. So we're going from the 2 processors of 6 cores down to a single processor, 4 cores, 4 threads. There is no hyperthreading. Max turbo frequency, however, is 3.4 gigahertz. TDP on here is showing 6 watts. I've been seeing closer to 9 on this. This is also going to use DDR5 memory, which is obviously going to be clocked higher. And ECC is not supported on this. This one's also going to have a smaller integrated graphics processing unit on it as well. So you're not going to be using the N100 without a dedicated graphics card for any type of gaming. That's not something that this would really be used for. However, they do boast that you can play 1080p games on some esports titles. I know that they have mentioned that they can get 60 frames a second on CSGO, for example. But I'm sure that's, you know, at medium settings. I've also seen a few videos of people playing like League of Legends on lower medium graphics quality. And you are seeing in excess of 100 frames on the low settings and somewhere around that 60 mark on some of the medium settings. So that's interesting. The big thing for me here was the quick sync. This does support quick sync, and if you can see where I'm going with this and the package that I just showed you, it's something that I look forward to, especially if we are talking possible hardware transcoding, specifically for Plex or Jellyfin. So let's take a look at what I got. So in this package I received in the mail a few days ago, we're going to open it up together, is the Chuwi Larkbox. Before we open this, I'm going to go ahead and show you the listing. we'll hop over here. So here's the listing that got my attention. It's the Chuwi Larkbox X Mini. It does have the N100. This one says that it will boost to 4.1 gigahertz. There's some downsides to this. One is obviously not the price. $150 I think is a fair price for this device, but it is soldered on 12 gigabytes of DDR5 memory, and the SSD in it is just a standard air disk, I believe, M.2, and that's going to be 512 gigs. It does come preloaded with Windows 11 Home. Not going to be beneficial for what I'm using it for, but it grabbed my attention because it's not the 400 that some of the other ones use, and I was excited to use the N100, so I kind of just went out on a limb. I wasn't really planning on pulling the trigger this soon. However, the $300 mark is not the price, so don't ever pay that for this item. I think typically they're going from $189 on their website. Here on eBay they were going for $150, but they have this button right here, make offer. So I was feeling froggy, and I decided to put in an offer for $125 a unit. Actually, I firstly put in an offer for $105 a unit. They denied it, and then I got a response back for somewhere above 125. So I shot back with 125, and they agreed. And totally forgot that I said make an offer. They came in the mail. I was not aware of it, and now we have 3 of this device. And I think you can see where I'm going with this. If you guys are familiar with hypervisors, or specifically Proxmox, you'll know that high availability is an option. And I'm running that one Hive Zeus with a TDP of 95 watts per processor, when I could run 3 of these devices in high availability for a fraction of that power usage. So that was my plan. So let's go ahead and open up one of these devices, and I will show you what we got in the box. I did cheat a little bit. I have already opened the other 2, and they already are running in my environment, and I'm having a blast with them, just to be clear. I don't know if you're going to have the same experience with whatever price point that you get them at. I want to kind of point out on the back of the box here, there is a listing. Mine is check marked for 12 gigabytes of RAM and the 512 storage. However, there is a memory option for 8, 12, 16, and 32, and then storage option of 128, 256, 512, and a terabyte. One thing to keep in mind with this device that I didn't mention earlier is it does not, to my knowledge, support dual channel. It's only single channel memory, and there's going to be some contention about having soldered on RAM onto this device, and I can get behind that. I can see why they did it. For price purposes, it is single channel. The upgradability to go to 32 would be nice, especially in a hypervisor environment, but you are losing out on the dual channel or multi-channel memory option. So in the box, this is going to be brief. I'm not going to get too into the unboxing. I'm also not going to be doing a teardown. There are plenty of people on YouTube that have already done a teardown and explained what's in the inside. There's not much to see. So in the box, you're going to have some documentation on this square here. On the top is going to be your power cord. It does use a barrel jack. In my server rack, I'm going to end up putting this on a shelf, or I'm going to possibly see if anyone out there has a rack mount solution, because I think you should be able to fit this in a 1U, if not a 2U rack mount area. Okay, so this is the little device here. We're going to open this up. Super small, okay? The fan is on the top there. We just have a power button on the front. We have 2 USBs. I believe there's a USB-C headphone and microphone combo jack. Like I said, this is kind of for the office worker as it comes in with Windows 11, I believe, Home. Flipping to the back, we have the barrel jack. We have 2 Ethernet ports. This one on the first one is going to be a 2.5 gigabit and a 1 gigabit. So if you are using this, could be beneficial to have these with a direct line to another server, for example, or having one to shared storage or something like that. You're going to have HDMI, I believe this is 2.0, DisplayPort. The display on this will support 4K at 60 frames, 60 hertz. And then you got 2 more USBs on the back there. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to this device. The bottom has some rubber feet with screws in the inside of those rubber feet. They are not covered by the feet, which is awesome. A lot of these PCs nowadays are coming with the peel off footings. Not a fan. When you remove those, you can't put them back on, and it's a pain. It is 12 volts at 3 amps on the barrel jack. There's a weird cutout on the bottom. I'm not really sure what that's for. But on the inside, maybe I'll do a teardown if anyone's interested in that, but I don't think that's what people are coming here for. The main thing that I see as beneficial here is the fact that we can run 3 of these devices in high availability, which I'm not running right now. So if power goes out on my one system or there's a failure of some sort, I don't have a fallback where my services are going to be able to move or migrate over to another machine. All the services are just going to go down, and in my case I have quite a few home services on there, like Heimdall. I've got Pi-hole, a bunch of other DNS things, and Nginx. So if that goes down, you know, a lot of the services via the internet in this home go down, and next thing you know, I'm getting calls from the lady saying something's wrong with the internet. And if the device goes down, I'm not in a position where I can, you know, correct that from wherever I'm at unless I have access to it physically. I do have a home VPN through WireGuard, but that's going to be on a different device. The shared storage that I have between these are through TrueNAS Scale. If you haven't used that, I highly recommend it. I know a lot of people use Unraid and a medley of other options. TrueNAS is what I'm familiar with. I think it's great. I can run some of my really important services on that because I know that's going to be running all the time. But now that I am going to have the high availability, it is tempting to switch some of those services over to these devices. I have not yet set up high availability. That is because I wanted to save this unboxing for the viewers here. So that was a true unboxing of this. The other 2 I already have set up in my system, like I said. I'm going to give you a quick rundown just to show you some of the setup that I've gone through. I have actually migrated the VMs from my old server to the new devices, which was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I just made backups, and then because my old Proxmox server is on the same share drive on my TrueNAS Scale, I was able to take that backup and hit restore on Proxmox, and it was as if nothing changed. I kept the same MAC address. The only thing I had to change was I moved them over to a different VLAN, so I just had to go in and change those. So this is my virtual environment. Proxmox 8.1.3 has been updated recently, but I have 2 nodes already set up. As you can see here, Alpha and Bravo. I think you can take a guess on what the next one's going to be. So the data center here shows the cluster, has my connected storage. 8.1.3 is new for me. I was running on an older environment, and there's a few things that have popped up in this that I don't recognize. I am not running Ceph on any of these. I know that Ceph is super beneficial, and I like the idea of it. However, some of my virtual machines, I have like a terabyte of direct attached storage via the share through it, and my 512 SSDs in my systems here are not going to cut it for some of that stuff. Swap over to Alpha here. I'm going to go to Summary, and as you can see here, the 4-core Intel N100 one socket shows up here. And this node is running both of the services right now. I have a Pop! OS instance here, as well as a Ubuntu server running Docker and Portainer. And I have probably 14 services running on that Portainer instance. And we are sitting at a higher RAM usage, 9 of 12. But look at that CPU there. 3% on the 4 cores, and that's running a full desktop version of Pop! OS and a bunch of containers on Portainer. This is awesome. I did add these to a cluster. So my data center here, Prox Cluster 0, So once I get this third one installed here, I'm going to be able to go full HA, so that if there is failure on any of these nodes, these will migrate to one another. And it's pretty easy. Even with 2 nodes, I'm able to migrate this Pop OS, for example, and hit migrate, and I can target Bravo, and it'll move over there. Now, this not being full HA at the moment, the migration is still fast because there is a direct connection to the same TrueNAS scale storage. However, in full HA, there's an extra situation where you set up replication. I'm not going to get too deep into this. This is probably a video for another time. Long story short, I am happy with the performance. I have not yet tried Plex transcoding with the N100. It's not going to be as great as what I've got going on right now in my system. I'm running Plex right now on my TrueNAS scale server, which has a dedicated Quattro P400, I believe, in there, which is more than enough. Most of my streaming is local anyway, so that shouldn't be an issue. But the big thing with these, especially with Proxmox, is the availability to connect a shared storage that all of them have access to. So when that failover happens, or if there has to be a migration, it is fast, and I love that. Setting up backups, the whole 9 yards. So, pros, if you can get a good price on these, I think they're awesome. Chuwi makes a long range of products. I know that there's some higher end mini PCs that have, you know, Ryzen's XYZ, the H series of Ryzen's. Those are, I wouldn't say in the same product category. I see a lot of people comparing mini PCs that are in this price range, $150, comparing them to mini PCs in the $300-$400 price range. They're not the same. However, things are getting back into the more compact sizes, which I was skeptical of, but I'm happy that I made this decision, especially for my electricity bill. But yeah, I think that those bulkier mini PCs are awesome. They're just not what I'm going to be using it for, which in this case is the high availability Proxmox clusters. I think this would be awesome for K3s Kubernetes if you're going to roll out like a Kubernetes cluster. I think these would be awesome for that. The 2.5 gig connection is awesome. I do have some UniFi systems in place that will accept those. I also have 10 gigabit aggregate switches that my storage is connected to, so you've got bandwidth availability. Obviously it would be nice if there was a 10 gig port, but I think for this price it's unrealistic to have those high of expectations. I think that these running on PoE would be awesome as well. Again, that might be asking for too much, but I think that would be awesome. Or even running off of USB-C, or having some type of hub where I can connect all these. The one thing that's going to get annoying is running all of these power cables to each one of these devices. I haven't even done that yet. They are literally sitting on top of another game server PC that I have just sitting on the floor there. But they're running. I haven't had a single issue. They've been up, well, this says a day and 3 hours or whatever. When I initially got them, they had been running for days with no issue, which is, you know, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise at this point, but I can't really think of anything else to cover in this video. I think you saw the main portions, which was the unboxing. If you guys are interested in a teardown, let me know. I'm willing to do that, as well as setting up a full high availability Proxmox cluster. If that's something that you guys are interested in, there are videos of that out on YouTube, but if you want to see an updated one, especially for the 8.1.3, maybe there's some videos out there. But I go through and modify a lot of my install stuff. If you look in updates, there's some non-production stuff that I run in here, which might be different than what maybe some other people run. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you guys are not subscribed, be sure to do so. I would appreciate it. And also, if you guys are interested in seeing those other videos, if you are subscribed, you'll get that notification if you hit the bell when I go live with either a game stream, or I send out another video for you guys for the Homelab stuff. I'd like to get more into the Homelab side of things. I know that's something that I haven't really covered much on this channel. but it's a big passion of mine. I just haven't covered it because a lot of this stuff was already in place when I started making videos, and it kind of seemed odd to go back and make videos on this. But now that I've decommissioned that Hive Zeus, I think I'm going to switch it over to another purpose, possibly a Steam Cache server and or a gaming server that hosts a bunch of different online items. So thanks for watching, and thanks for stopping by. I will see you next time.